Hello and welcome to Etude number 8, the final part number 4. This is part of the Villa-Lobos 12 and 12 challenge, and we are going to dive straight in with the first microstudy's main points. Welcome to microstudy number 12. Main points here are left hand guide finger number 4. You specifically need to really laser ahead here because we've got a big jump from a G sharp to a high E. 2. Rhythmic changes change at bar 43. Make sure that you have your score. And as usual, we're back to chord shapes. Practice the chord shapes on their own before you put the right hand pattern in. It makes it easier, it lessens the technical challenge. And that's it. Let's just take a quick look at these chord shapes. Alright, we've already covered these first 2 chord shapes on the reprise in our first video, so we're not going to go over them again. We're going to start straight away up here at 9. Which is bar 42, half bar at 9 for E and G sharp, 4th finger on a high E, 3rd finger on a C sharp. Okay, and then you can pre-prepare your 2nd finger on the C natural. This is a cliche descending line, Led Zeppelin to Cry Me a River. There we go, that's a C natural with those other notes. And then we get the B, full half bar, 3rd finger on a D sharp. So again, as usual, just practice them and then put them back in, and that is it in essence. We'll have a look at the right hand pattern in the next section. Okay, microstudy number 12 kicks off with this familiar C sharp minor chord now. Same rhythm. Laser ahead to 12. Here is where the rhythm changes. It's P-I-M, P-I-M, P-I-M. While that high E sustains. And then literally that rhythm stays the same for the next bar. Now I've notated it as 3 there, but you can actually just slide your 4th finger down, 4. And then slide that entire bar and shape down into the next microstudy. So let's take a look at this one nice and slowly. Welcome to microstudy number 13. Main points here are practice open strings first. This is an unusual pattern from what has come before it, so get used to it. Halve the technical challenge. Treble voice needs to stand out above all else, so right hand fine control here. Remember, dials on the fingers. That is it. Let's just have a look quickly at the chord shapes because this is the big main event for this study. We're kicking off at bar 45 up here with a half bar at the 7th fret. And so A, D and F sharp, high C sharp with the 3rd finger. Now, it unusually moves down to 2nd position where we get this. And I would suggest that you use 3rd and 4th fingers here, and your 4th finger is going to shift up and down. That shape then moves up to the 4th fret, still 3rd and 4th, with your 2nd finger down on a C sharp. You can pre-prepare it if you need to with the B. The next chord is going to have a B on it. And then you're going to have to stretch out to an A underneath it. So you're getting 1st finger on a B, 2nd finger on an A, 4th finger still on the G sharp. And then you have 2 choices here. You can use your 3rd finger for the next chord shape, or you could just slide your 4th finger underneath. Either one is fine. But keep in mind that the last chord shape that we need here is this. And as usual with Villa-Lobos, there's actually 2 ways of playing it. I have used open strings, but you can actually bar this across the 4th fret and use a 4th fret half hinge bar at the top. So let's just go through those chord shapes again nice and slowly. get used to those moves, and we'll have a look at the right hand pattern in the next section. Welcome to micro study number 13, second section development, part 1. So we pick it up at a half bar at number 7 with the same rhythm that we've had for the previous 2 bars. P and A, P, M, I, P, I, M. And then Villa-Lobos starts to develop it. So we get a new chord, new rhythm, new everything. So we have this, P, I, M, A, P, M, I, P, and then P, I, M, A again, into P, I, M, A, P, M, A, I, P, P, I, M, A. It's a really interesting rhythm, and it's in a really interesting set of chords. Villa-Lobos is juxtaposing the harmony against the open strings again, a classic thing that he loves to do. So I would suggest that you do it as open strings. And just repeat that until it's in your right hand. There is nothing too difficult about that other than the right hand doing a lot of the work. Let's take a look at this now in slow motion. And there we're into the next microstudy. Welcome to microstudy number 14. Main points here are: right hand thumb plays a lot of strings here, so you need to be very good at scrolling down the thumbs and selecting the right string. Left hand finger 4 is the guide for pretty much most of us, but actually in reality all of the fingers are, because Villa-Lobos is doing a classic same shape, just shifted up and down the strings. And again, if needs be, practice the open strings right hand pattern on its own. Let's take a look at those chord shapes. Okay, so we're at bar 49 with this chord shape here. You're going to slide your 4th finger down this time. It has to be 4 for the next one. So again, it's the same chord shape as before. And then we're going to shift back up to this C sharp in the bass with the 2nd finger. Now, that's everything we've already had looked at before. From this position, this entire shape is going to shift up to the 7th fret, and you are going to put your 2nd finger down. So we have 2 at 7 on E, 3 at 7 on D, 4 at 7 on B, and 1 at 6 on a G sharp. And you're going to strum across 3 strings with I, M, A, doing the treble strings. If you've played Prelude number 3, you will recognize the shape because this pops up in Prelude number 3. Villa-Lobos then shifts these 3 fingers down 1 fret and then back up while the melody sustains across. He then moves this entire shape up to 10th fret. He then moves this entire shape up to the 10th fret and then back down to 7. And that section then repeats. So again, this is the highlight of this study. So make sure you get these chords right. Let's just go over the shapes one more time. So we're here. Let's take a look at that right hand pattern. We pick it up from the 2nd half of this phrase. P, I, M, P, M, A, I, P. Here we go, it's going to change. Different chord on the end and up to 7th fret for this chord. It's an E7 chord. And we have 6, 5, 4 with your thumb, I, M, A. And then it is literally P, M, I, P, P, I, M, P, I, M, I, M. P, M, I, P playing 5 and 4, and then I, M, A. And that entire section repeats 3 times actually, 2 bar phrases again. And let's take a look at this section in slow motion. Welcome to microstudy number 15. Main points here are: make sure that your slurs are nice and clear. Hammer-ons are fast and precise. Pull-offs are pluck downs. I would suggest practicing these slurs in the scale section in combinations of 2 and 3 string sets to really nail them and get them under your fingers. Bar 56 does not need a bar chord, and the right hand fingering has 2 options, which we will dive into in a second. Find out the one that suits your playing. Experiment. This is not the be all and end all of fingering. Everybody is different. And bar 57 should be familiar to anybody that has done the cage system. If you haven't, there is a video that'll pop up now that'll help you out. But it is just a cage, a very familiar caged shape. Bar 54, if you're having the 1953 edition, you're missing a double sharp in that bar. So make sure that you are aware of it. Let's take a look at those chord shapes. Okay, from a chord shape point of view, we're familiar territory from the last etude. We're still here. But instead of going up to 10, Villa-Lobos then slides down 1 fret to get to this chord, G sharp minor. So the shape stays the same. It just moves down 1 fret to fret 6. So it's 6, 5, 6, 6, and then we're going to move into a bass 1, and then the treble strings for a G sharp minor chord. This is where things get interesting, and we're going to dive into the scale section next. Welcome to microstudy number 15, and we pick it up straight away with this D7 chord. Now the only difference here on the next 2 bars is the last chord, so watch out for it. I'm just going to play through because we've always stepped through it in the last microstudy. Down 1 fret, and then we're into that wonderful G minor chord at bar 56, and then from then on that's no more chords. It is a lovely scale section, which then again, as the last scale section did, takes us back up to that wonderful C sharp melody. So let's take a look at this scale section. So we started off with a barre across 4, P, I, M, A. Now, fingering wise, I would suggest it's P, A, M, I, and then M, I as you go down the strings, but that is your call. That is just my fingering. And it is in sextuplets, so you've got to remember 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, try and split that pulse in half to get the quaver pulse, and just count triplets, or conical, takita, 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 takita. But for the moment, we're just going to step through the fingering. 3rd finger on a G sharp. Barres holding the D sharp, and then you have a 2nd finger on a C natural, and the C natural is going to pull off to B. Your 3rd finger is going to pull off G sharp to F sharp. 3rd finger is going to pull off D sharp to C sharp, and then you're going to do 3rd finger on a sharp there. And it's that there is a definite click there, and I use IP. From this point on, it is just your standard G shape cage system, B minor, but played as semiquaver triplets. 1, 4, 1 3, 1 3, 1 3, 1 4, 1 3. He's using a leading note there, the A sharp, to lead us back to a B. Okay, with an open B. So that is that in a nutshell. There's not much to that other than being able to play this as one note. And remember, obviously it is, there is an open B there, which I have just taken out just to make it easier to see. And then you're back in at the top of the piece, and that is it. It's just an entire repeat of everything that we've gone through before. Let's take a look. Welcome to microstudy number 16, the ending. Main points here are guide finger, left hand little finger for again, so use it carefully. Keep the melody notes on, use a little bit of vibrato. Harmonics, you want those harmonics to be clear. They're a bit of a pain at 9th fret. You need to come back on your guitar and give yourself more room. They're not going to be as clear or as loud here as what they are at the Ponticello section. Let's take a look at those chord shapes. Okay, our first chord shape is at the 7th fret half bar with the first finger, 3rd finger on an E at 9, F sharp on the 1st finger, and 4th finger on a C sharp. So we get that wonderful second clash there. Your 4th finger is going to slide up to the D sharp, and then we are going to get this chord shape there. That is what Villa-Lobos intended, but there are a couple of ways of getting around that and allowing certain of those notes to hang on, which we'll look at in a bit once the rain stops. Welcome to microstudy number 16, the ending. So after all that repeat, we get that lovely big here we have triplets, but played as quarter notes. So if you've got your pulse 1 2 1 2 da 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 ba 1 be able to feel the 2 beat in order to push it against the 3. So we have 3 over 2 in that last bar. Again, a very Brazilian device. That's on the C sharp. And then we have this chord, which we've already seen, the chord P I M A, 4th finger stretches up for that D sharp, and then while that D sharp is on, you take this finger off to get the C sharp so that you can get. Now that is what Villa-Lobos intended, and then harmonics on the end. However, in order to facilitate those harmonics, you've got to take off this G sharp note, which I've never liked. So I'm going to offer 2 alternative fingerings. So I'm going to offer 2 ways of doing this. My preferred way and then an alternative. So my preferred way is a little bit of a finger twister, but here we go. Chord as normal. Open E, G sharp. So that in essence you will have these 3 notes hanging on with the open E, and then you can do the harmonics as well. However, that is a bit of a finger twister, so there is this alternative. So again, open E, high comes off, slide your 2nd finger down, and then you're there. And that is it. That is the end of Etude number 8. Thank you very much for staying until the end. This has been part of the Villa-Lobos 12 and 12 challenge, 12 etudes across 12 months. We are now going to be heading into Etude number 9, which is absolutely glorious. It's the ornamental etude. If you're interested, head over to classicalguitarrocks.com. There's a link here, and find yourself some freebies and some free crap and some extra lessons. Failing that, the next video for Etude number 9 should be popping out just about now. Have a good one.